Okay. Yeah, so
So,
when you record it, can you like send it to me then?
yep.
Or how do okay.
So we're going to code a email for Boots US, which is a B client of ours. Um,
For some
so for
reason, like, and this happened when we were even in the code conference, like your microphone is like so delayed slash like blurry.
interesting, it's probably just my computer sucking.
Yeah, so it's called Boots.
Yes, BOS.
Okay.
So we're just opening our email template now. Let me know when you can see
Okay.
it.
Yep, I have it.
All right. So this is what we're going to be working with. So this is what we're going to end up slicing for our first step. And
Mhm.
then we'll walk through and break up our original slices into all of our workable areas.
Okay.
So the first thing that we want to do when we look at a image to slice is get a basic idea of where we want to make our slices.
Mhm.
Okay, so looking at this, it's pretty clear that we're going to want to slice this little top blue thing here. So we'll go ahead and make a cut there.
Okay.
All right, then we're going to want to break out this header here. So this is our header and navigation.
Yeah.
Then this next area, we can make this all one slice because this really uh, doesn't contain any unique information, so that's fine. So then moving into our first content section, we're going to do some other things in here afterwards, but
Okay.
to start out, we can just make this a single slice.
Okay.
And then we want to give it some room here so we can duplicate this break image because that exists again down here. So looking at this, that image seems to go right down to the top there. So we're going to drag this all the way down to the top here.
Okay.
So then we're going to make this kind of a unique thing right there. So we can use this as one image just several times in the email wherever there's a break.
Okay. Okay.
So now this will be our second content area, and we want to make sure we want to zoom in and make sure we get all of that reflection there, which we did. So that's good. So we're not going to have to worry about
Okay.
that. And then our next content area right here, we can get that. Make sure we get that all the way down to the reflection where the reflection ends.
Mhm.
Looks like we did, so that's good. Then we want to grab our free shipping here, forward to a friend there,
Mhm.
and then we'll use this as the footer. So that's our little connect with us area. And then this is our disclaimer text right there. So now we have our basic slices. So now we're going to go in and name them. So we're going to get our slice select tool, which is the
Mhm.
slice icon with the arrow. So we're just going to run through and name all of these. Not forget to grab that. We want to find our little spacer there. Okay, so now we have all of our slices named. So now we're ready for our first export. So we save for web and devices. Okay, great. We're in our Boots newsletter folder that we created earlier. This is where we're going to work out of as our base directory. So we're going to export images only right now. So it'll create a folder called images that we can then work out of and we'll need to reference later. So we're just going to go ahead and click save and export all of these. And now we can see in our folder, this is the image we were just working on. We now have a folder of images. And we want to just go ahead and these two black bars we don't need because we're just going to reuse the black spacer bar, so we can just go ahead and delete the two images that we didn't name in Photoshop. We know that we don't need those. We're not going to use them. So yes, okay, goodbye. So now these are the images that we're going to be working with. So before we start building the email, let's go through and make new slices and sections out of a couple of these areas. So we're going to start with the navigation area. So we can go ahead and close and save this. Yes. Then we want to open our navigation that we're going to need to slice that up. Okay. So we'll start the same way that we were going before. We'll get our slice tool here, and we want to make all of the cuts that we're going to need. So brands is going to be a button, skincare will be a button, makeup, new, and it's important now to make sure that we're taking up all of the image. Because this is email and not a website, we can kind of be a little more forgiving in terms of where users will be clicking and what they'll be doing. So, we want to take up as much of the image as possible, because white space, blank page space, really is kind of the enemy here. So rather than keep this, blank white space, we'll go ahead and make that all the brands button. So now we can go in and rename this brands, skincare, makeup, new, logo. Okay, so now this is all cut up. So now what we're going to do is, rather than save only the images, we're going to let Photoshop do the hard work for us in creating the HTML around that. So we want to go up to our base directory, and we're going to save this as HTML and images. So this is going to create an HTML file for us that we can use later to put into our newsletter HTML when we create that, and all of the coding work will be done. So we can go with that. Great, done. So that's the first thing. So now we've created all of these buttons. We have all of these new images, all named. So that's awesome. Don't have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. So now the next section that we're going to edit, and this is just because I want to show you how to actually edit and use live text rather than just images, is going to be that first content section. So this is what we're looking at, and the idea now is we want to make this area real text, and we want to make this area real text. So we have to think about how we would go about doing that. So the first idea is we always want to start by making as many horizontal cuts as possible. So where can we get it? This is really the best that we can do horizontally, get to that level. Okay. So now we have one image here and one image here. And then this is going to be the area that we end up playing with. So, so we're going to rename this Content Section 1 Top. And this is going to be Content Section 1 Bottom. So now when we save for web and devices, we can save. We're only going to save images because we're going to work on the HTML later. We're not there yet. So this is going to export those back into our image folder. We have Section 1 Top now and Section 1 Bottom. So we can go ahead and close this out. We're done with you. And now let's open our Section 1 Bottom and start to edit some text here. Okay. So where our text is going to be, we're going to need this for spacing, so that's fine. Okay. So we'll cut that, and then we want to cut out that text there. This is where we're going to be editing the text, so let's bring that all the way over to the image, where the image ends, right up there in that upper right area. Zoom in, make sure that we get it right to the edge of those graphic pixels. So then what we can do here is we want to rename this area rename this text. Okay. And we're actually going to say that we don't want an image there. So we're just going to type in the text here.
Okay.
Because this is going to be real live text in the browser, and we're going to edit this later to stylize it. Okay, so there's the text there. And then we'll keep this one area because we want people to click on this Shop Now button. So we'll name this Content Bottom Right. And this is Content Bottom Left. So now when we go to save for the web, we're going to let Photoshop do the hard work for us again. So let's go up to our base directory and go to select. We're going to save HTML and images. So we'll hit save right there. That'll export everything. So now we have our new images, and we have 2 HTML files to work off of. So now, for the purposes of the training, we're done in Photoshop here, and we can go ahead and open up Dreamweaver. So while this opens, we'll go ahead and find a couple of our content sections and look down and get the dimensions. And on a Mac, you can just get the file information and it'll tell you the dimensions. So here we know that we're working with 700 pixel wide images. So that's how wide our email is going to be. So when we create the new HTML file in Dreamweaver, I want to immediately save it so we can start coding and it'll know where our images are. So we're going to put it into our base directory here, call it index.html, call it email.html. So, no, actually, I think I might have saved that in the wrong directory. Yeah, we did. That's why. So our Boots newsletter, now we can call it index.html. So here we go. So the first thing that we do, because we're coding an email, is we want to create a table that acts as a container for the whole email. And then what that'll do is that'll center everything else within it to make sure that our email will display in the center of the browser window or the email client window. So we do that by saying table. We set the width to 100%. We set our cell spacing and cell padding to 0. This is something that we're going to do for every table that we create. It makes sure that all of our images line up. And we're going to set a style that will collapse all of the borders to make sure that there's no strange spacing that happens. So this is kind of our, from these things are going to be present in all of the tables that we set up. So now with any table, the first thing you have to do is set a table row. So now that builds out the table framework, and we have now one row going across. And in that row, we're going to need one column. So that's what the TD tag is that creates a column. And for this, because this is our wrapper table, we want to set the align to center. So that means anything inside of this column is going to be align center. And then down here, we want to close all of those tags that we opened. So this says once you hit here, we're done with this area. Once you hit here, we're done with that. Once you hit here, we're done with the table. So this is important. This is something that you will include in all of your emails in order to center it. So now we can get into the meat of the actual email. So we're going to start by, we have our blue top bar here. That's going to be the first thing. And it helps if you want to open the original image and keep that next to your window so you can reference what comes where. Okay, so we'll start by creating a table, and we'll set the width to 700 because that's how wide it is. And then we can just go ahead and come up here and copy that and paste that right there. So now there's our table. We want to row the column within that. And then here we're going to place an image. And that image source is going to be our blue top bar. So great. There it is. We can close that. We can close that. And then we're done with that table. So that table we want to keep as few elements in each table as possible. That makes sure that our email is going to render as well as it can in as many areas as it can. So there's our top blue bar. If we save this, we can go ahead and bring up the preview. And this is something that we want to do more. So you can we have our blue bar there. Awesome. Doesn't really do much for us, but okay. So now, after the blue bar comes the navigation. And if you remember, we already let Photoshop create that navigation table for us. So we can go ahead and open up that file that it made. We can come right here and rename that table ID. Okay, so all of this is already set up. This already works. So we can just go ahead and copy that entire table, come back into our index, and after we closed out with the blue top bar. We can just paste that navigation code in there, save it, go ahead
Okay, so once you typed in,
and preview it in our browser.
Table ID,
Pardon?
after you typed in table ID equals navigation, it knew just to bring that up.
So I just wanted the ID. It's really to let anybody else who looks at it understand what's going on there. So This is just saying, hey, this is where our navigation is. Go ahead. If you need to make a change, you can do it there.
Okay. I guess I just don't know how I see how it did that already for the whole navigation. I just don't know where that popped up so that you could copy and paste it.
Okay, so all we did there was we went File, Open, and we opened that HTML file that Photoshop created for us.
Okay.
Okay, so when we opened that, here's all that code.
Okay.
All right, so we just copy and pasted that.
Okay.
All right, so now we have that. That worked. Now let's take a look back here and see what comes next in email. Okay, so our next section is that visibly younger section. So for that, what we can do is copy this table width, because this is just a single image. So we can copy that. We can paste it down here, go with our table row, our table column, and then we want to make another image. What's the source? We'll go find that in our images here. So that was our visibly younger right there. Close out that image, close out that table, close out that row. There we go. So that's done. Let's save and preview. All right, there we go. So now we have our first several parts all set. It's coming along nicely. Everything's matching up. Great. So what's next? Now we're going to have our content section 1. So we're going to go ahead and just repeat this process. So let's select the whole thing. Let's paste it. And then the only thing to change here is where this image is. So we'll go ahead and go to Browse. That's our content section 1 top. Save. Let's make sure that this is working. Yep, there it is. All good. Great. So then after that, if you remember, we created that. We let Photoshop do the work for us again and create the bottom section of that content. So we can go to File, Open, find that content section 1 bottom. Here it is. We're going to go ahead and copy that table, this file, and we'll just paste it right where we want it there. Hit save. Go ahead and refresh, check it out. There we go. Look at that. So now we have our actual text. So that's all editable. And now I'm going to show you how to stylize this. Okay? So what we have here is our text, and we want to take a look and see what this looks like. All right, so this is Arial black here. It's a sans serif font. It's bold. It's thick. This is probably 16 point. And when you do this with our Blue Fountain Designer files, you'll have actual Photoshop files, and they'll give you the font sizes for each of these sections that you'll be editing real text. So we're going to go ahead and create a span, which is just an area that we can stylize. Give it a style. We're going to start with the font. We want to get the font family. We want to start with Arial, black. We're going to add a semicolon to add some more styling here. We're going to go to text transform make sure that it's going to capitalize everything. And then that should really take care of it.
Okay.
And then the end of that, so that's our header, so we can just go ahead and close that span out there. And refresh here, we should see something nice and big, pretty similar, so that's good. Not really big enough, so let's go ahead and add a font size here. Let's set it to 16 pixels. It default around 12, and let's see how that looks. All right, about the same, probably go a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and go to 18. So that, there we go, that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
So now what we want to do is make sure that there's going to be a solid line break between that heading and the rest of our text. So we're going to hit BR. So BR means line break. So now we have to stylize the rest of this text. So let's take a look at our original image here. That's just simple Arial, so that's easy. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to create a span. We're going to stylize it. We're going to go with the font. This we can just use regular Arial.
Okay.
We could use the font size, 14 pixels. I think that looks great. So we could go ahead and go there. Close that out. Let's save. So now we have nice, clean text. You know, I think that we should probably put a little bit more of a gap in there between the heading and the text. So let's add another line break. There we go. That's the gap that we're looking for. So now let's make sure that this text is always going to be up there, no matter how big the area gets. So here, what we want to do in this column that we've just been editing, we want to set the vertical alignment of that to top. So that means anything in there will always push towards the top of that cell. So that'll make sure that it'll this properly. See, we've pushed it up there. Now it looks a little cleaner. We've added the graphical elements. It's offsetting. It looks the way we want to look. So we could add more breaks in to drop it down like that, which we can go ahead and do just to make sure that we get the exact same feeling. So we want a break after is and then a break after but. So we can just go ahead in here, hit BR, and a break there. Save that. Let's see how that looks. There we go. Exact same thing as we had in the image, but now this is readable text, so when the user gets the email, they'll actually be able to read something. They'll be able to see a headline before they download any of the other images.
Okay.
So what's next? So now we get to use our black spacer bar there. So that is just a standard image, so we could go ahead and go up here to our where we know our standard images are, and copy that text again. Go to the end of that content section 1 table, paste that in there. So now we got to find an image. Let's find that. Black spacer, perfect, done. Ready for the next one. So we have that. So now our next thing to do here is just find content section 2, and we're basically going to repeat the process. So single image, lay it in, select the location, get to source. Let's find content section 2. Great, got it. Put in there, save. Let's see how this is looking. Perfect. Just what we were looking for. So now it gets even easier because now we can copy all of this from the spacer to the content section because we're just going to duplicate that. So let's paste. So now instead of content section 2, it's content section 3. just match up file name, save. Let's refresh. There we go. So now we have, all of the things that we need. We're pulling the email together. It's coming along pretty well. After that, we're going to go into content section 4. No, we just did then 1, 2, 3. So now we go into free shipping and then the forward to a friend. So we'll just run through this really quick. So we'll grab our black spacer. Actually, we'll grab this whole area here. So we'll grab our content section, black spacer. This is going to be our free shipping area. Let's browse for the image. Free shipping. Then immediately after that, we're going to go to our forward to a friend. There's that. So we'll throw that in there. What comes afterward to a friend? The connect area. Okay, give me that. And then after the connect is our disclaimer area. And let's see how it all looks. And there we go. We now have a completed email. From top to bottom, we did that. We have workable text. You saw how to stylize the text, how to move it in and out of the cell. Mm-hmm. And now the only thing that we have to do to really complete this is let's make sure that we can actually click on things. So for that, we're going to go to the design version here. Okay, and we'll do this for real. So I'm going to go ahead and move that over here. I'm going to move that over here. I'm going to go to boots.com. The us.boots.com just to make sure we're in the right country. And then we're just going to go, we want this to be brands, so we're going to right click, copy link address, come over here, select the image, throw in the link, hit enter, done. Skincare, copy link address, go ahead, done.
So you said this was in the design tab?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, we're in the design tab for that. And then we just repeat that over and over again for each section. And we'll go ahead and shop now. Let's just say that that is skincare anti-aging. So we'll copy that link. There's our shop now. Paste it right there. Enter. Done. And then over and over again. To go wherever you need it to go. And then just to test that it works, we can save. Let's come back here. Let's refresh. So now we can click skincare. We go to skincare. Awesome. We click shop now. We go to our anti-aging area. So this work that we put in, assumably as we go through the steps and link everything up, all of those things will work. But that's the basics in creating an email, coding text, using styles, using multi-columns, letting Photoshop do the majority of the work on the more difficult tables, and then piecing it all together in Dreamweaver. So do you get a pretty good understanding of what we did there?
Yeah, and so like for example, like for the connect part, would you typically slice that up even more so that you would put the links there?
Exactly. So we would do the same thing that we did with the navigation, right? Is we would open this up in Photoshop. We'd slice this, and then we'd slice those individual things. We'd export it as HTML and images. We'd open that HTML file in Dreamweaver, copy the code, and paste it in place of the code for just this image. So yeah, so you're exactly right.
Okay. Cool.
So what I will do is send you two things. I'll send you a zip file with all of the work that we did here right now. Okay. and then I'll
Mhm.
also send you the base image separately, and you should go ahead and try to do that on your own, and then I'll send
Okay.
you a link to this recording if you want to go step by step and follow along.
Perfect. That's perfect.
All right, so that'll kind of be your homework for the night.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely like get the entire process. I think for me, I just have to go through and do it on my own computer, just because like the saving and some of those like little things are just different between our computers.
Yeah, the PC and Mac, I mean, yeah, there's some subtle differences, but I'm confident you'll be able to figure it out.